but I'm not gonna let this train leave this station.
Let's not play crazy. Let's not play crazy.
By yourself.
Okay.
So you should feel where I'm coming from.
And maybe when you get in the quiet,
Because you gave me a bounce check.
you cannot destroy someone else's property.
I want her to be a mother.
I actually want a family. I had a family before.
When the blank hits the fan, you always call your mother.
This was a brawl between mothers. You could tell that the tension between these guys was so high that it could rip out the roof of that courthouse. Now, Miss Lusk and her mother believed that the father of the 3-year-old baby in question was Miss Page's son, and they were hell-bent on proving that he was the father. Miss Page, on the other hand, believed that they wanted to pin the baby to her deceased son so they could get rich. Who won the battle? Let's find out.
You and your mother say you have no doubt whatsoever when it comes to knowing who your 3-year-old daughter, Samari's biological father, is.
Yes, Your Honor.
Unfortunately, the man you claim is her father has died, and now you find yourself facing off against his mother, who is just as convinced that she is not your daughter's grandmother.
Diving into the war among moms, Miss Lusk started by talking about how things have been difficult for her baby. Trust me, she wasn't having it easy at all. She got pregnant when she was just 16. Yep, you heard that right, just 16. What broke her was the fact that her baby daddy's mom wanted nothing to do with her or her child. That must be quite heartbreaking.
So, Ms. Lusk, describe to the court how difficult this situation has been for you and your daughter.
It's been more than extremely difficult being pregnant at 16, having to still go through school. These past 4 years, everything has been on me and my mother. And I feel it's completely unfair because he has a whole other side. She has a whole other side to her family. My daughter is beautiful, and you missed out on 4 years, almost 4 years of my child's life.
All these women wanted to do was beat each other without caring about the consequences. The anger was so intense, the judge had to tell them to take a chill pill. I don't think I ever want to be locked up in a room with these two. It's definitely not going to end well. Hold on to your seats because the truth bombs are loading and about to be dropped.
Was now pregnant by yourself.
Okay.
So you should feel where I'm coming from.
Okay.
But not only that,
Let's get some order, ladies.
you're absolutely correct. I am, and I'm doing a good job. I have 2 jobs.
Let's get
I
some
have
order.
2 jobs. Going back to college in August. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. But you should be on my side, if anybody, because you've been there.
Miss
My daughter's
Lusk,
beautiful.
Miss Lusk, calm down.
Miss Page wasn't feeling any sympathy in that courtroom. She had only one mission, to prove the baby didn't belong to her deceased son. She was fully convinced that her son had nothing to do with Miss Lusk, and they pinned the baby on him so they could get the money on his insurance. I don't even know who's telling the truth at this point.
Unfortunately, her son is deceased, so this has been an ongoing paternity issue for the past 3 years related to this beautiful, precious little girl. And you're saying you need help.
They're out for money. I had insurance on
What
my
money?
son. I had an insurance policy. They're out for
That we
money.
knew nothing about.
Let her
That we
speak.
knew nothing about.
Unless it's proven it's not my son's
You
baby.
never posted
I knew
it on
anything
Facebook.
about
Miss Lusk.
Knew nothing about her.
At first, Miss Page told the court that she had never heard of Miss Lusk while her son was alive. Was Miss Lusk going to allow her to say that? Hell no! She stood her ground and explained several situations where Miss Page would interrupt them whenever they were fooling around with each other in school. The crazy thing is that it was all happening under Miss Page's roof. I guess she wasn't as smart or observant as she thought she was.
You said you had never seen her before until you went to her school.
Yes, Your Honor.
How did you get the news that she potentially was pregnant?
Well, I'm thinking that someone told me via Facebook or something like that.
No, ma'am.
So please respond, Miss Anderson. How do you know what happened?
I contacted Miss Page through Facebook to tell her to call me. She called me, and that's when I broke the news to her about my daughter being pregnant by her son.
Baby daddy's mother couldn't keep her anger in check, all right? She was heating up like a bomb that was about to explode in the courtroom. She hopped on Facebook and painted Miss Lusk as the villain in their superhero movie. Trust me, this woman went to every length to make her point known.
Your Honor, we have never asked her for anything.
At all.
Once she suggested bringing over a used walker. We declined her walker. She went into one of her little, oh, that ain't my grandbaby. Make sure you find your baby's daddy. And she's publicly putting it on Facebook. my
Also to
child's
the
name.
point where I can't defend myself because she'll have me blocked or she'll have it where I can't post comments. And I don't slander her on my Facebook. Not once have I ever
We've
said anything
never
bad
said
about
anything
this
about
woman.
Miss Page kept denying that she had never heard of Miss Lusk at all. Her new story was that she had never seen her baby before. Well, except once by accident, but Miss Lusk jumped right in and said that wasn't true. She said there were times she even held the baby and had some intimate time with the baby. I promise, it only keeps getting more intense with them.
I seen her
She's
one
seen her
time by
once.
accident at an acquaintance birthday party.
So you've never had the opportunity to come by and spend
she
time
held
with
my
her.
daughter at that party. She also she had the opportunity. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
she has.
Miss Lust, I held her and I got a picture taken.
You had a
Someone
few.
want to see. Did she
You had
even
a few. And
favor the family?
You posted it on Facebook. You posted it on your Facebook page.
To be
So,
honest,
yes,
I
ma'am.
don't
This
want
is my
somebody
first time
around
seeing
him.
you, Miss Anderson.
Yes, it is, and my first time and hopefully last seeing you.
With the way they were going, it didn't seem like they were ever going to reach common ground, and Judge Lawrence saw that. The moment of truth is finally here. Let's see who goes home feeling happy and who goes home with tears rolling down their faces.
Between Miss Page and Samari Page is 99.96%.
4 years, and I never asked
For
nothing
4
of
years,
you. I never
almost
asked
died. My son
nothing
been
of
deceased.
you.
Stop
Absolutely
arguing.
correct.
Both of you all are in so much pain. Everything that comes out your mouth is bitter.
She is one crazy woman, if you ask me. First of all, Miss Matthews had an affair with another guy and got pregnant, as if that wasn't enough. She went on to break Mr. Moore's car window because she thought he was cheating on her. Trust me, it's all shades of crazy in this episode. I hope y'all are ready for the drama.
You admit to having an extremely complicated relationship with the defendant, Mr. Moore. Now you say you're here today to prove that he is your 3-year-old daughter Zanaya's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Moore, you argue Ms. Matthews was having an affair with another man and say she waited to notify you about her pregnancy because she was uncertain if her unborn child.
Mr. Moore was sure filled with doubt. He made sure Miss Matthews had no way of reaching him or contacting him until he was certain the baby was his. That's a little too extra from him, if you ask me. What breaks his heart the most, though, is that they were really into each other from the beginning of their relationship. I guess good things don't last forever, right?
For Neat, in the beginning, we were cool. When I met her, she was a party girl, all the way up to date.
Okay, so then you started a sexual relationship.
Yep.
Were you ever in a committed relationship?
Absolutely. She told me that she was pregnant, but she waited 4 months to do it. Keep in mind, we stayed using condoms all the time,
No, Your
24/7.
Honor. No.
We stayed using condoms, unless I was just out of it one night.
So let me understand this, Miss Matthews. So you were in a relationship with Mr. Moore.
Yeah.
Miss Matthews was being pretty fishy while telling her story. She claimed she was in a committed relationship with Mr. Moore, but refused to tell him she was pregnant. I mean, who does that? She then starts to change her story by saying they were on and off. Pick a side, Miss Matthews. Which exactly is it?
I didn't tell him I was pregnant because it was something I went to the doctor in Alabama and they didn't tell me, they didn't know if my baby was gonna be alive or dead. So I didn't know what I was gonna do. I didn't tell some of my family members either because I didn't know what I was going to do.
So you
it
were
did
having
take me-
issues
yeah,
and complications
with
in
my
the pregnancy.
yes.
We can stop playing victim, though.
So I didn't show you the papers?
I got these papers.
Papers of what?
With the guy who was presumably, he could be the dad.
Okay.
Mr. Moore sure had evidence to back up his claim. He had a photo showing Miss Matthews kissing another man. Seems like Mr. Moore's skills for stalking and investigation are pretty top tier, wouldn't you say? But Miss Matthews was prepared, trust me. She had her own evidence and it was mind-blowing.
Matthews
Yeah.
kissing another man
Yeah.
Yeah.
during
Yep.
the time that you
Yep.
thought you
Yep.
were together.
Yep.
No, but
And how did you find this photo?
That actually came from her social network that she used to have, her Instagram.
why
You
did I
know,
post the picture?
Why
Because
did-
what picture did you post that made me do that on Throwback Thursday, Your Honor?
Jerome, let me see that.
What picture did you post? And the reason I did
Look.
bust the window out is because I was calling his phone
Fanique.
about this picture.
Miss Matthews had some serious balls, trust me. She openly admitted in court that she broke Mr. Moore's car window because he wasn't picking up her calls. I don't think you need me to tell you that Miss Matthews is one hell of a woman. You really don't want to be on her bad side, I promise you.
And there was a
Fanique.
brick by the tire. I said, oh, this is a coincidence. What a coincidence. And I bust the window out.
Okay, so
Fanique,
you
bust it.
admit in
And I
open
left.
court.
Okay.
And went home and ate some
So
cereal.
you're
Your
admitting
Honor.
today in
Your
open
Honor.
court that you busted the
Yes.
window out
Fanique,
of
stop lying.
his
What's
car.
wrong with you,
Yes.
man?
I
All
don't
right.
have to lie about what I do.
Mr. Moore, let me see this evidence you have.
You was real chilly
This
that night.
is a
wasn't it?
picture of what?
Things were really starting to get out of hand in that courtroom. These two weren't here to play nice with each other at all. Mr. Moore's niece steps up to the podium to give her own side of the story. Oh, she didn't like Miss Matthew for sure. The things she had to say will leave your mind filled with nothing other than shock. shocked.
Told me he started dating her and she was pregnant. I just started laughing because, like, you don't know how many other dudes she done told this to before. Like, this is a rumor around the hood. She gets around.
But what
do you
mean?
What do you mean? She
My
told
back page,
other.
Let's
gets
not play
around,
crazy.
honey. Come
Let's
on
not
now.
play crazy.
Come
The
on.
whole 117th
You
know
gets
you.
around,
Let's
baby.
not play
What about
crazy.
the back page?
So hold on,
But
but
it's
it's
time
time
to take care of your daughter. That's what you need to do. Go take care of your daughter. That's what you need to do.
Ladies.
His niece drops the biggest truth bomb the courtroom has ever heard. She says Miss Matthews' child calls 3 different guys daddy in their neighborhood. Wow, I'm beyond speechless right now.
What did you just say?
She calls 3 other dudes in the neighborhood that we live in daddy.
Zanaya.
Not my uncle. Yes. It's
Three.
me.
Wait.
No, Your Honor.
Zanaya calls 3
No.
other men
3 other
daddy.
men's daddy.
That just sounds ridiculous.
Wait,
But
Miss
you're ridiculous.
Matthews.
What do you
Hold
mean?
on, Miss Matthews.
Don't argue.
Is that true? Does
Your
Zanaya
Honor,
call
no.
anyone else daddy?
The only person she called daddy is her 2 papas. That me granddaddy, Your Honor.
No.
No, my daughter did not call anybody else daddy.
I think it's about time we drew the curtains down on the baby daddy shenanigans. Both parties were completely dishonest throughout their relationship. The envelope will reveal the truth, and we will find out who has been lying.
Mr. Moore, you are not her father.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking. I'm done. It's over with. I got my whole life ahead of me. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? I wish you the best.
My baby gonna be fine. I'll take care of my baby.
I wish you the best.
So, Miss Matthews, I asked you several times if there could be another potential father, and you
I
said
did not.
no. Whether you're willing to admit it in open court today, something in me is telling me that you know who this person is, and maybe when you get in the quiet of your own space.
When you talk about being crazy, this particular case fits the criteria for that. Miss Scott believes that her mother is not to be trusted around her husband. In her words, she says her mother is jealous of her and definitely wants a sexual relationship with her husband. You don't need me to tell you that's crazy. Sit back and relax because this would most likely leave you speechless.
You claim that you've been supporting your daughter, Miss Scott, and her 7 children long enough.
Yes.
You say that your daughter's husband is a deadbeat, and you wish she'd leave this man and get off the system. Miss Scott McCrae, you are suing your daughter for $3,900 in unpaid loans.
Yes, Mom.
Miss Scott, you say your mother was an addict when you were younger and now tries to act holier than thou.
Yes.
Now, Miss Scott McCrae, who happens to be the mother, believes her daughter needs a wake-up call. Well, that sounds interesting. She says she's married to a man who isn't good for her and is not capable of providing properly for her in any way. For some reason, her daughter doesn't feel the same way. She was pretty defensive when it came to her husband, almost too cute not to admire.
She's very intelligent. She's smart. I mean, she has goals and she had aspirations when she was younger that I've seen her just lose total sight of. He's a deadbeat. He's not a good provider. He hinders his family more so, I think, than he can help it.
How does he hinder his family?
He can't keep a job for more than a week or 2.
He has a job.
When
he
did
just
he
got
get
a
it?
job.
Last week?
It doesn't matter
And
when
how long is
got
he gonna
He's
keep
working.
it? 2
So, Miss
weeks?
Scott McCrae,
How long is he gonna keep it?
Just let it be known, Mom.
Oh, the courtroom lit up in no time, people. You could tell these 2 women didn't particularly have a cute mother-daughter relationship. All they wanted to do was argue and fight. At some point, it was almost impossible not to laugh at them. But Miss Scott McCrae was throwing some serious shades at her daughter's husband, and Miss Scott just wasn't having it.
Miss Scott McCrae, why are you calling your daughter's husband a deadbeat?
If I have 5 children depending on me and they need things in the morning to sustain them while they're at daycare, and this man,
What's the things they need?
Toy,
What
I was
they
sleeping in
What
their
were they-
den. I was
Okay.
sleeping in their den. I watched Toy one night, particularly. He went into the kitchen 3 or 4 times.
Miss Scott McCrae was clearly in that courtroom to do one job. I'm sure you're guessing what it is. Well, I'll tell you exactly what it is. She was there to expose her daughter's husband in every single way possible. Talk about shortcomings. He definitely had a lot. Trust me, at this point, you really can't blame Miss Scott McCrae for acting the way she did.
Your Honor, not when you're getting evicted every 6 to 7 months. It shouldn't be a family decision.
evicted
Not
every
when it's
6 to
getting,
7
yes,
months.
every year. They're good. They do good at
But
tax
let you
time.
tell it you paid our rent for 5 and 6 months, Mom.
That's when I was staying with you when you were
But
on
when have you
Tuckasegee,
ever
and as
paid
soon
our
as I
rent for
moved
5 or
out,
6
y'all
months,
got
Mom?
evicted because you
Yeah,
couldn't
because
continue
you
to
gave
pay
me a
the rent.
bounce check.
No, I gave it. I didn't give you a bounce check.
We were in a bind.
I canceled
We
the
were
check.
in a bind. No, you canceled it
I
now.
canceled $400.
Now Miss Scott had enough of the false story her mother was trying to paint. Apparently she wasn't the all-perfect mother we were led to believe. Trust me, there was so much more to the tale. Miss Scott McCrae was living like a teenager in their home. She even had a man she was sleeping with while living in her daughter's home. Damn, I don't even know what to say.
We getting the kids ready for daycare. If Toy wouldn't have walked in the living room, the kids would have seen her full moon.
My couch.
And I don't even, I've never even.
I don't know if I want to know, but
You know what I'm saying? Doing what
Having sex?
with the children.
Having sex?
You're right, but in my home, early in the front, on the couch, Your Honor.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Grandma, you were
That's a
not
lie,
having
Your
sex
Honor.
in the front room.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
You're probably asking yourself why Miss Scott McCrae hates her daughter's husband so much. I'll tell you the reason, all right? And it was a very valid reason. She caught her husband's daughter naked with another woman while her daughter wasn't home. Oh, wow. That explains why she doesn't like him one bit.
And caught her husband naked in their house with another woman. Almost lost a thumb because of it. That's when I say no.
Okay, but if I forgave him for that, why can't you?
It ain't about me
It's
not
my
forgiving
husband.
him. I just
Why
don't
you
like
still
the way
gotta
he
bring it
treats
up?
you. I don't like the way he does you and your family.
So why do you feel that it's your?
Can I say something, Your Honor?
When I let you know.
I think both of y'all need some help.
Things took a nasty turn in the courtroom. You could even call it a wrestling match between Miss Scott and her mother. Miss Scoot had some of her own truth bombs to drop. She claimed her mother was making moves to try to sleep with her son. She even tried to kiss him on several occasions. If you ask me, that's going too far in Miss Scott McCrae's case.
She's about to leave. I walk her out to her car. Now she got in her car, crunk it up. So of course, bye Mom. I turned around to go back in the house, but something just told me to, just look back out the door. I look out the door, she done got out her car, walked up to our car where Toy was sitting and kissed him on his cheek. A slobbery kiss. If he would have turned his face.
The only solution here was for Judge Lauren to make her final decision and decide who gets what and who should fix their behaviors. Because these people right here weren't going to settle any of this on their own. Let's see what verdict the judge gave.
Scott McCrae, you were asked if you want a sexual relationship with your son-in-law, Toy.
Made my head hurt.
You said no, and the lie detector determined that was the truth.
Yes, it was.
Okay. All right. And that's what I would rather hear.
I hope you guys are ready for another baby daddy calamity, because that's the only thing that comes out of this case. Miss Hines was in court to prove that her ex-boyfriend was the father of her 22-month-old son. The ex-boyfriend, on the other hand, claimed he couldn't be the father because Miss Hines wasn't faithful at all. Well, let's help them unshackle their mystery, shall we?
Today you've summoned your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Jackson, to court. You want to prove that he fathered your 22-month-old son, Matthias. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Jackson, you claim Matthias cannot be your son because Ms. Hines had another man living with her around the time of conception. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Jackson, who is apparently the ex-boyfriend, starts off by telling his side of the story. He claimed they tried to be in a committed relationship, but it didn't just work out. The bomb then dropped. Boom! He said Ms. Hines had another man who she was intimate with while they were supposedly dating.
Are you disagreeing that it was Christmas Eve, or you're disagreeing that you're the only person
disagreeing
she was
that it
having
was
sex with?
I'm disagreeing on both behalves because she was living with another male, so it's kind of like hard to like judge her because like.
So while you all were in this relationship or just having sex in the car, whatever it was you all were doing, she was in a relationship with somebody else.
Yeah, it was a relationship. She had another male living with her.
And Mr. Jackson sure likes to snoop around now, doesn't he? He went to visit Miss Hines one of those cozy nights and he found the most shocking thing. He found a box full of condoms that didn't belong to him. The crazy part? When he asked her about it, she said it belonged to her ex. Well, you really can't blame him for his suspicions, can you?
So when you were in her house, you were snooping around and you saw some condoms in a box.
Yeah, and I thought she was like.
So you thought at that point that man and her were having sex?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, that is true. I did sleep with my ex.
Okay.
So condoms in a box. That's correct because my ex was
and
moving
she had
out.
admitted to having sex with
because I told my ex about him.
Mr. Jackson was doing quite a lot of snooping. He was all up in her business. Trust me, you would even think he was being paid to investigate Miss Hines because it was just too much. He did find what he was looking for eventually. Apparently, Miss Hines had been talking to other men behind his back, and all that just built a river of doubts to fill up Mr. Jackson's mind.
The baby isn't yours because y'all don't have the same hair color? Come on, Mr. Jackson.
It's not that.
Yes,
it's just
please.
because
Come on
like,
now.
she was living with another man and she admitted to having sex with this man.
That I
and she
cannot,
has friends.
those parts of your doubt I
And I
understand.
believe-
So the point is you're saying you really don't know, Mr. Jackson.
I really don't know, Your Honor.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, that's my problem.
Because with all your snooping, you never could pinpoint.
Exactly.
Miss Hines, of course, had her own side of the story story to tell, and she sure told a really good story. Apparently, Mr. Jackson was saying two different things to people. How do I mean? Whenever he was with Miss Hines, he would refer to their son as his baby. But whenever he was with people outside of Miss Hines' reach, he would deny her and the baby, claiming the baby was never his. Now that's just hurtful from Mr. Jackson.
What has Mr. Jackson done for Matthias? Is he involved? Does he help support him?
Behind closed doors, he's his son. Around other people, he's not. When we're together, that's his son.
Yeah,
when we're not
from the jump.
together, he's not his son.
Did you ever consider each other boyfriend and girlfriend, or you just sleeping together and sleeping around?
At some point, until I figured out that like she's bringing a man, like she's so friendly that she's bringing him.
As if denying Miss Hines and her baby weren't enough, Mr. Jackson happens to be doing the exact same thing he is accusing Miss Hines of doing. Ouch! You heard that right. He also entertains a ton of women in his Facebook DMs. Looks like Mr. Jackson isn't as sleek as he thought he was, because now that cat is out of the bag.
Lots and lots of women. So from the looks of these messages, it seems like you entertaining these women.
The reason why I did what I did because like she had messages in her phone from her other fella that was talking about working on their relationship as far as the workout.
Before that, he was cheating on me. Like, he'd been cheating on me from the beginning.
Well, it's obvious he's entertaining countless other women. That's a no-brainer after looking at that.
Miss Hines' best friend walked up to the stage, and it was clear she was no fan of Mr. Jackson. If I don't like you were a person, it was definitely Miss Hines' best friend. She gave an account of how she and Miss Hines were the ones who took care of the baby. Mr. Jackson, on the other hand, had almost no contribution to the upbringing of the child.
You are Miss Hines' best friend.
Yeah, sure.
And what do you know about this? What do you have to add?
I know everything about the situation. I know she's been pretty much taking care of him by herself with my assistance, her mother, no help from him. I do most of the babysitting.
This woman is
He's paid
irrelevant.
me twice for babysitting. $10 a piece, both times. I'm more of a father to this child than he is.
Well, it's finally time to bring the baby daddy drama to a close. There was a lot of fighting and accusations between these two, and it was pretty evident that their relationship was not going to be saved. The question still remains, people. Who is the father of the baby? Well, let's find that out, shall we?
Mr. Jackson, you are Matthias's father.
At least, like, if I can get a hug, you mind if I get a hug? So I can, no accusations?
That's up to her. That's up to her. He said he'd like to give you a hug. Are you okay with that or not? You can say no.
No.
All right.
Maybe
Step
later.
on back over there to your side.
Later.
You can hug.
That way I gotta let it cool down.